going on, guys? This is Trent from Trentfluence, and today I'm going to be talking about anxious attachment and how it affects you and other people around you, while also making spaghetti carbonara in the background. So if you want to learn how to make that, then this is a perfect video for you, as well as this topic that's been hitting me hard for the past, honestly, since my whole life. So yeah, hope you stick around and enjoy the video, and have a good one. But who the... Nah, man. Keep that green thing you got right there before you get hurt, man. Hell no, that shit's mine, dog. Oh, so you think I'm playing, huh? Fuck, I'm about to whoop your... Damn, that shit hurt.
Nice going, knucklehead. Gotta go fast. Woo!
Alright, shit, damn. Without further ado, let the video begin. What's going on, guys? This is Trent from Trentfluence, and today I want to talk about having an anxious attachment style, or at least being anxiously attached to people, and how that makes you feel and how it can affect how they feel about you and how you can potentially work on it. Because I myself, I'm talking about this because I struggle with this, and even if I understand it more or less, I still do struggle with it, and it is definitely a process to really analyze what you're going through and try to overcome it to the best of your ability. But I think if you are an anxious person, that's going to be the majority, like generally how you're going to be. Of course, we can always change that, but it's never that easy. But let me go into like an example. Like for me, I oftentimes, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. I oftentimes think about if some people that I care about in my life, whether it's friends, family, or my previous relationships, if they truly do care about me, or if they're just hanging out with me or talking to me just because they feel like they have to, or feel obligated, or just because they're bored. And it sucks to think that way because sometimes you just never know. But a lot of times people do care about you. But we can't just pretend the fact that people will use you and use your anxious attachment to them as a weapon for their own self-gain. Like while we're all wondering if Senpai will notice me, Senpai's over there reaping the benefits of the time and validation we give them. And coming from me, and also after talking to people that I know, it really does kind of reflect upon yourself when you start feeling the effects of being around or living a life where you give out a lot of yourself. And this kind of goes back to it piggybacks off the video that I made previously about not begging for people to be in your life. But when you give out a lot of yourself or do your best to care for others only to be treated like shit or be given the bare minimum, and a lot of your contributions just kind of just go out the window, and you're just made to feel like, am I doing enough? Am I actually valued by the people that I'm talking to that I care about? Or am I just somebody that they just see as an annoyance and a burden? And constantly going through life with those feelings will start making you project those feelings onto other people. For example, in my first ever relationship, if you want to call it, it was just mostly a online thing where we would text each other all the time when we're not at school or we're not sleeping. And whenever there was like a slight lull in like the conversation, or there was no smiley face put into the message, it would be like, oh snap, what's wrong? Are you mad? Do you not like me anymore? And always wondering and being worried about if they still want you. And it may be an extreme example, but that was me at 16. Now I'm 29, so I've definitely learned from that. But even then, at 29, I'm still wondering sometimes when I talk to some of my friends if they actually invite me out, care about me because they care about me, or they invite me because like, well, we haven't seen him in a while, and we should probably invite him before he forgets about us because obligated to get our one hangout every year. So let's go ahead and just bring him along so he doesn't feel sad. And that's a shitty feeling to think about. And a lot of times it goes back into your own self worth. Because if you feel shitty about yourself, you feel like you don't contribute to others, then you're more likely going to feel like others don't really value you. And sometimes it's not even your fault. Sometimes you're just dealt a hand where most of your life you've been around people that just don't genuinely show value to you or don't really care much about your presence or screw you over and you've been screwed over again and again. I know a few people where they have had a terrible hand up them, and while I know them as genuinely great people, the fact that they've been dealt such a shitty hand in life and been treated like shit by a bunch of people causes them to believe that they're never doing enough or they're unable to do enough and that they are a burden. And a lot of the cases that's not true, but when you've been very anxious about how people are around you because of your circumstances, then it makes it harder to really believe that you are worth it, you're valued. And a lot of times also it comes from lack of validation, which a lot of people call it attention seeking, and people will oftentimes use it against you, saying, "Oh, they just want attention. Oh, they're just being sad right now. Let them have their tantrum." But no, people will use validation, your need for validation against you. But a lot of people need validation. It's not a bad thing, but so many people will weaponize it and go like, "Oh, you don't have anxiety. You just want the attention." People often will think that and don't understand that at some point being given credit and being shown love and validation for the people that you care about is a lot of times just a basic necessity in communication, especially when it comes to close relationships, friendships, and people in your family, like with your parents. If your parents never really tell you how proud they are of you or congratulate you or really like show that they love you, then you're going to feel anxious about how they actually feel about you. You're going to feel jaded. I mean, look at any cartoon, anime villain, or just person in your life that doesn't love their parents or doesn't think high of their parents. And you'll probably hear the same or similar story. Like, my dad doesn't tell me he thinks he's proud of me, or I don't really get anything but scolded and blah blah blah. Think about relationships too, where you have a person that they do a lot for their partner. They clean the house, make sure the kids taken care of, they wash dishes, do everything, make sure they're pleased in bed. But then the partner doesn't even give them the bare minimum of attention and affection, but they still love them with all their heart, but get very nervous and antsy about how their partner feels about them because they don't really show it. And so as a result, they end up really stressing and trying to do more for that person that hasn't really shown they care about them. And it's borderline abusive when you have a partner and you know that they require validation and you go out of your way or don't try to understand that sometimes they need that validation, which causes them to start having an anxious attachment towards you, which is very unhealthy because they start worrying. Even if they don't show it, they'll either worry and don't show it or become very clingy and anxious and start asking where you are all the time and start nagging. Some people are just naturally like that. It happens. But let's not pretend that it doesn't exist where people don't give each other the validation they need to feel like they're valued in a relationship, in a friendship, in a family. Like, it's okay to give people like, like every now and then, like, hey, you're my best friend, and I'm glad you're here, or hey, you look pretty today, and I'm so happy we're together, or hey son, hey son, I'm proud of you today for X, Y, Z, or Q or W. But I want to say, at least from my experience, and I can't really speak on the parents things I do. Like my parents are good parents, but just in general, I understand that sometimes your need for validation will cause you to start having doubts and very anxious thoughts about people that are in your life. And it kind of touched back on the self worth aspect of it because I don't want to just ignore that. When you have healthy attachments or healthy friendships and relationships, oftentimes you will be made to feel valued, and as a result, that kind of reflects onto you. Now, I believe and also I agree and also disagree that a lot of your own value comes from yourself because sometimes you do we are social creatures. Sometimes our value does come from how others see us and treat us, but also we still need to believe in ourselves that we are valued and worth it, the attention and the people that are in our lives and what we give out. And there's nothing wrong with getting value from other people until you're able to value yourself, because that's kind of what friends are for. Like when you're down and out, sometimes your friends will remind you of how valuable you are to them. I am no stranger to telling the people in my life that, hey, even though you feel like you're feeling shitty, you've done X, Y, Z, Q, W for me. You're very talented. I notice you're doing this and that. And I know you've been struggling, but I can still see the value in you. And that kind of reminds them of the value they have in themselves and kind of helps them get that confidence back and makes them less anxious. But some people never get that. And some people are just let to fend it off alone, which is doable. Some people are strong enough to just do it by themselves and just get their own value. And that's awesome. Like, if you can do that, good for you. The video is probably not for you because probably going to think that, again, the attention seeking and whatnot. But if you've struggled with that, with not receiving any validation or any, either from yourself or from others, then you're probably really anxious about yourself and people that are in your life. And I feel it. I feel that. I really do. Um, a lot of times when people give me validation, it even though I feel like I don't get it a lot, it really does help me get inspired to just keep on doing what I do. Or if I see people that I'm around, and that's why it's important to keep people in your life that actually will show value and grow with you, because when you see them thrive and they also talk about how you help them, it makes you want to keep going. Like my gym partner, for example, we go to the gym and sometimes some days I'll feel like I'm not doing enough, but then they remind me they got bigger, I see them improving, and it makes me want to improve again. And that's just me. That's a personal me thing. Not everybody can just simply relate to that, and that's okay. But it's a in general thing where I kind of get motivation and validation through them and through helping them and working out with them and being around them. And it's one of those things where you have to build connections in your life and be around people that make you feel that way. And again, easier said than done. Sometimes forming connections is hard, especially when you're a loner and you don't often go out and make friends. But cherishing the people in your life that do actually make you feel valued does help alleviate a bit of the anxious attachments and the anxiety that comes from wanting if people actually do like you. Now, it'll still be there. It's still something to work on, but having somebody in your life that, somebody or just people in your life that care about you and show they care about you, as opposed to keeping people in your life that don't show it and bring you down. You have to constantly wonder if they actually care about you. Like once you start getting rid of those people in your life, you start to feel better about yourself little by little. At least that's my personal belief. And from talking to people, I've also heard that same thing from them too, that they've gotten better and felt better about themselves and others by cutting people like that out of their life. And I'm 29, and it's only been the past 2 years that I've started cutting people out that I don't feel good about having in my life or don't really reciprocate like the value that I bring to theirs and vice versa. So it's one of those things where sure we can have these anxious attachments, but at the same time we have to let those attachments go if they are not healthy to us. And just like in the video about begging for people to be in your life, just keeping people in your life just cause, and then always constantly wondering if they actually want to be in yours. It's not worth it. It's really not. Keeping people in your life that you always have to be anxious about, they like you and never communicate or are impossible to communicate with. It's not. It really isn't worth it, especially the older you get. So in order, and especially the way I've been combating it is to kind of combat anxious attachments is to let go of the attachments that make you feel anxious. Like it sounds really easy. Trust me, it's hard, and at least for me, it's hard than it sounds. But honestly, if people aren't giving, or you give and people don't make you feel valued, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, having my life makes my life harder, or realizing all the shit they did to you really made you feel shittier about yourself. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, um, having you in my life really doesn't add to anything, and I need to really focus on the people that are in my life that show me they care to actually heal from that damage that those attachments that made you feel anxious do or did. But yeah, that's kind of where I want to go with it. This could honestly loop on forever, but I think you got to get the general gist, at least the point about having anxious attachments, what it's like for yourself and for others. Because sometimes when you're constantly being a burden, and worried about others, and they don't even show that they care, it's draining, and nobody should ever have to deal with that in any circumstance. So I hope that at the end of the day that this video, after listening to me kind of ramble about it, it's helped you at least understand where somebody might be coming from, or even for yourself, understand kind of like reflect on your own attachments and the people in your life and see like who actually is kind of like adding value or showing me value in my life, and if I'm adding value to theirs, or if they're just kind of just there as like a filler or somebody you have to constantly worry about. Because we really got to think about the people that we have in our lives. It can affect us heavily. And while many people probably think like, oh, it's obvious, again, everything's always easier said than done. And when nobody has awareness of it and we just kind of just go blind and just let ourselves just get worse and worse mentally, then, damn, excuse me, then that's where we just start just losing track of ourselves. So again, these videos are never made to give you the exact answer, but at least to like hopefully are enough to get you aware and start thinking about ways you can always improve yourself, your relationships, and others as well that are around you that you want to make better. But that being said, this is Trent from Trentfluence. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the food I made in the background, and peace.